The Fortuna, on fortunes. I once read in the Book of Changes, which is often my authoritative consultative point, that good fortunes are made by good decisions in a good environment. Likewise, bad fortunes are made by bad decisions in an inhospitable environment. What follows, there is no good luck and bad luck. There are decisions and there is the environment. Even if we make good decisions in a good environment, there is a certain factor that is acausal. There are many aspects that are occulted, metaphysical, hidden, that may effectuate in destroying the effect of good decisions, reverting them, even subverting the mind and destroying its enterprises and its trophies. In other words, it may also mix, so a mixture of good and bad decisions, a mixture of good and hostile environment. Yet the summation of all of it is the continuous flow of life. There is nothing permanent, as the Book of Changes puts it, and the stillness as a coordinate is merely an imagined point for the reference, as a referential rod, as the scope, as the comparative framework. Therefore, whenever I encounter someone saying that he is unlucky or that he is fortunate, well, fickle fortunes, this is based on so many factors in the co-arising, co-dependent causalities, as in the Hindi understanding of causality. We've got the seed, we've got the soil, we've got water, we've got sunlight. It all co-arises codependently. It's not a billiard ball that we hit and it hits another ball and falls into the proper place. So it is a volatile environment. It is very, very difficult to predict what happens next. In the wealth that we make, in the meanings that we coin along the path, this is what constitutes character or ethos and strength of a man or a woman. The attitude towards the received situations, events, and how we make decisions, preferably wise decisions, based on the events in this life, on the confrontations. So there is no way of predicting how we will end up in this, let's call it the machinations of fates, of murders. But there is always something that says that you cannot blame yourself for decisions in your past, because they were already made. And for the decisions you made in your past in that pinpoint in time, they were the present. You made the best possible decisions that you could make. You had this much information, your mind was set a bit deterministically to make those decisions, not the other ones, in such and such circumstances. So it was a frozen point in time. If you move back in the present and look into the past and said, oh, if I made that decision, or I made a different decision, then it will be different. Well, you couldn't make that decision because you already made it. Where does it lead us to? There is also a concept called destiny, or wyrd, in the Scandinavian idea, the wyrd. Orlog as the more, let's say, personal destiny thread. It is always about finding one's destiny against fate. This single thread, this majestic, gargantuan thread that you hang on to and don't let it go. Ever. It is always reverberating with your inner truth. Like Leonardo da Vinci once uttered that those who have their minds and hearts and intellects and spirits fixed to the star are unconquered by lies and slander, also I might add by fates and hostile environment. Do we always make good decisions? No. Rational decisions? No. Reasonable decisions? No. But at least we may gather experience throughout life to draw from, in order to arrive at the most optimal heuristics, solutions, that help us navigate through life. From the ethical perspective, when I see some homeless in the streets, they are also different, discerningly. One was a professor that was ruined by false accusations. Another one got into debt because he tried to save his family. Yet another one is a wretch that was always partying and turned into alcoholic and dropped into the streets. Yet others were fucked over by some people, business people, that they made business with, and so on and so on. And it gives a different approach to circumstances and situations. You think that every human being, no matter what are his fortunes, the fickle fortunes, Boethian wheel of fortune, had a mother somehow, whatever the mother was like. But he was born onto the stage of terrestrial affairs. And I prefer to think from, or speculate from their perspectives, because I cannot penetrate their thoughts, and to see what fates did they receive, how did they respond to them, what histories they have. Because every person has a history, right? Of those events and circumstances, of his ups and highs, of his stances, even if unheroic, even if petty. So, thank you.